I'm Mark Scherer, the CEO and founder of Encompass Life and the host of the Encompassing Life Podcast. Today, we have Laura Currens, and she is with Dynamic Flow Physical Therapy in Ventura, California. And Laura her business is about 3 years old, and she created it out of the necessity to work to heal herself, it sounds like. And she's grown her business into several different practitioners in the Ventura area. And she's doing some really cool things with pelvic floor and using some equipment that I'm familiar with, but she's taken it to the pelvic floor and is healing all kinds of different issues with both men and women. So, Laura, welcome to the show. I'm so glad to have you on here.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
You're welcome. So, you said you've been a physical therapist for 15 years. Is that correct?
Yeah, 16 years, almost 17.
Gotcha. What got you into it originally?
I don't have a cool story. I actually just picked it. My parents were like, you need to pick something when I started undergrad, and I just went with physical therapy. I actually really knew nothing about it. I knew I didn't want to be a doctor, and I knew I didn't want to do nursing. And it seemed like a good way to be active and just help people, with their biomechanics and really look at the whole body. So that was what kind of enticed me.
Were you an athlete in high school or anything?
Kind of. I did more surfing, snowboarding, dance team, things like that. But yeah, I don't really have the traditional PT story of like an injury or anything that drove my passion.
Yeah. I've talked to quite a few other ones on the podcast, and they all have some type of an injury. They found somebody who helped them, and they go, "Wow, this is great! I'm gonna get into it for myself."
Yeah.
So you got into it 16 years ago and started your company about 3 years ago. And what had you move from? I guess you're working for maybe like a healthcare organization, a hospital, or who were you working with to begin with?
Yeah. So I was working with an outpatient kind of classic orthopedic insurance practice in the area. Just started to reach a major burnout. I think like a lot of medical providers are, just didn't feel like I was helping my clients as much as I knew I could. And I had started a pelvic health program there, and it was fabulous. And, I felt like I was really helping people. But, when you get stuck in these short 20-minute windows, it's really tough, especially when I was seeing really complex chronic pain and pelvic pain. And it's just really challenging to treat in that setting. So that kind of led me down the path of what else could I do? I actually had no interest in starting a business, really never saw myself doing a business, but I just couldn't find a job that felt like a good fit for me.
So in your previous, all right, so you were speaking, we had a connection issue here, so we're coming back in. You were speaking about when you were working for another company that you were doing things in 20-minute sessions, and you knew that there could be more, to really help people. Sometimes 20 minutes isn't enough, but I guess you were trying to fit the insurance model, correct?
Yeah, I was trying to make it work. I was trying to help everyone, and it felt good, right? You're helping people that maybe couldn't afford an out of pocket costs, but my burnout was hitting kind of a max. And, seeing 15 to 18 patients a day, and you're seeing really complex cases, it does start to wear on you. And I just felt like I could do so much more healing in all aspects of health.
Yeah.
Not just looking at the pelvic floor, right? It's really way more complex. There's, the mental, physical, emotional, social, there's so many other aspects of health. And
Right.
now, we can really like dive into all those aspects and really get like true healing.
Yeah. So do you deal with the emotional aspect of health in your current position?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like you can't really avoid it. We're not there. We're not mental health therapists, but we definitely hear a lot of, most of our clients have anxiety, depression, they have mental health challenges. So, we use the tools we can on breathing or helping manage, coaching, trying to help overcome chronic pain. But we really use a lot of referrals out as well to EMR or different therapists or different alternative providers.
Gotcha. We found that there's one word that when people are using this word, is a direct correlation between the percentage of this word and anxiety. Any idea what it is?
What is that?
The word not. The higher the percentage of not a person speaks, the higher the level of anxiety.
I can see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's also a sign of suppressed anger and resentment. So when people can begin to shift that word, instead of speaking what they don't want, start speaking what they love, the the nervous system will go from sympathetic to parasympathetic, and they're also. I read an article. Stanford did a study, and they said complaining damages the neurons in the brain. So I like to simplify things. Complaining makes us stupid. So when somebody's speaking a not, or can or don't, that's a complaint, and it's dumbing them down. So when they begin to switch from speaking what they don't want to what they love, the brain begins to reform new neurological pathways in it, and they start getting happier. And instead of seeing what they don't like, they start seeing solutions everywhere. Anyway, just a
Yeah.
little, yeah. So
No,
when
I really
you're,
love that because I see that all the time with, a lot of our clients have been through the ringer kind of a bit with, pelvic pain or, they've had years,
yeah,
years of just medical, not really getting help. And that can feel so frustrating. And it turns into, I can't do this. I can't do this. My life is ruined. This, and I
yeah.
trying to
And
turn
then
and
they go into that resignation, and they're like, "Well, do I even want to live?" Then that's a slippery slope. Just getting people. Then that's half the battle. Just getting somebody to choose life again.
and giving hope. I think hope is really powerful of
Yeah.
like, let's figure this out together. We can build a team of other people. It's not always just us for really complex cases,
Hmm.
but I'll help you. I'm on your team and let's find the right options for you. I think can be really powerful for people.
Yeah. Hope's a wonderful first step. Pardon me, I got a little buddy here talking about cats earlier. Anyway, whenever I get on podcasts, I get in my podcast voice. She comes up here because she knows she can get treats. I'll do anything it takes to get her off my desk. So
Oh,
yeah, so she has me trained. So how long are your sessions normally in your new business?
yeah. So that drove my passion, and I started my own practice 3.5 years, I guess almost 3.5 years ago, and really set it up the way I wanted it more of a warm, safe environment, calming colors, calming environment, sheets, nice sheets. And we do 1 hour sessions so we can really
Wow,
in.
that's a long time. That's awesome. So
Yeah.
what does a typical session look like for you, or is there a typical session?
Yeah. So, like classic physical therapy, we always start with an evaluation so we can really dive into somebody's history, really listen to their story, and then get our sense of what is the root cause. We're always looking for the root cause of the complaint. If it's coming from the abdomen, if it's coming from the pelvic floor, back, if it's nerve referral from where is it coming from. And
Hmm.
that way we can really come up with a good plan of care. So we do take a lot of time in that first visit to make sure we get a good sense of what we're going to treat and have the patient understand the plan of care and what it's going to take. And like I said, if we need to pull in outside resources, we want to come up with like a good plan for them. And then we do a lot of body work, kind of manual therapy skill techniques. Usually we start in the abdomen just because that's an area that tends to get neglected, and in the rib cage. The
Hmm.
diaphragm is our big breathing muscle, which connects to our pelvic floor. So once people can breathe better, they tend to be able to move their pelvic floor better. So
Hmm.
that's a classic spot we start kind of in those first visit.
Do you get a nutritional also, or?
One of my admins is actually a nutritionist, so we typically refer to her. Or, there's so many different niches, I feel like, for nutritionists, but yeah, just trying to find the right fit for them. She
Hmm.
does kind of pelvic pain, GI, so that tends to be a good fit for our clients as well.
Yeah, if somebody's eating a lot of processed food that increases inflammation, and
Mhm.
yeah, so getting their diet right too is a big deal.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So do you have equipment that you're like a typical physical therapist, like almost like a gym type of setting, or?
Yeah, so we have private rooms. We have a small gym area with a Pilates reformer. We have a squat rack. We have kettlebells, weights. We also like to help bridge that gap back to high level function. Chronic pain patients, but also, our patients that are leaking or maybe have DRA, like abdominal separation after their baby, or want to stay active during their pregnancy. And so we really like to help bridge that back. So we do, higher level training as well. It really just depends on the person. but we do a lot of hands-on work, in a safe, quiet environment. Our vibe, we don't want to have the vibe of a standard PT clinic where there's tables lined up and people are yelling out in the gym. That's not really the vibe we want.
So, what's your square footage of your space? Are you aware?
It's 1,100 square feet. And then I have an acupuncturist that also rents from me. So we cross refer a lot with her, which has been amazing. And then my admin, like I said, is a nutritionist as well. So it's been really great. And then we also use the soft wave therapy unit, which we got a
Oh
couple.
yeah, you were sharing about that.
Yeah.
And you said you've had some really amazing results with the shockwave.
Yes, it's been amazing. We've integrated it, orthopedically, but also in pelvic health for like anal fissures, erectile dysfunction, Peyronie's disease, pudendal neuralgia, poor perineal tear healing, vaginismus, vulvodynia. So we're using it in kind of more unique ways. The main goal of it is to increase blood flow and
Hmm.
to help the body get its own healing mechanism, kind of kick in a kickstart, get it kickstarted. So
Hmm.
it's been really awesome in complement with our, standard offerings,
Yep.
and really we find helping to speed up our results. And yeah, just, giving, like I said, people hope. If you can get their pain down in a few visits or let them see like a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, I think is really, really valuable
Yeah.
versus, for chronic pain. Sometimes it can take 8 to 12 weeks to really like start making changes, like you said, in gut health, systemic inflammation, if there's mental health challenges. I mean, the body,
Yeah.
we can't just look at the physical. There is the other components of somebody's life.
Right. So you were sharing with the shockwave that you had some particular wins with erectile dysfunction. You were telling me that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, we can't claim that we treat kind of sexual dysfunction or optimization. And so, really what we're trying to do is just increase blood flow, which is a big part usually for erectile dysfunction.
Right.
So, or if there's deep inflammation. I have a younger gentleman I'm working with right now, and his was a chronic infection that they had missed for 5 years. So I was suspecting
Wow.
probably just some inflammation. And 2 visits later, he's 80% better and he's stoked. They had him on all sorts of weird meds and he did all this testing. And yeah, to get that quick of a win. So that was in 2 weeks. So in
So
two,
he had like a UTI or was it infection?
it was kind of an offshoot of an STD. I guess it's not fully classified as an STD, but it had been missed for like 5 years and he was having
Wow.
continence. But yeah, I mean, in your early 30s, that's pretty
Yeah,
disruptive.
yeah. That's traumatic, man.
And he's like, I don't really want to be on Viagra and these meds. I'm 30, I'm in my early 30s. Like, that's embarrassing. And I don't feel like I need to do that. And it's pretty cool. Like I said, just I think getting that deep inflammation out that was probably there from the infection, I'm assuming, and just getting blood flow, which is needed. He's doing awesome.
I was reading an article, and they said how much Viagra use has increased in the 20 to 30-year-old range.
Really?
Yeah, it was a wild, and then our country keeps getting health sicker and sicker, But to see how many people in their 20s and 30s are taking it,
Yeah.
not just for grants either, because they actually require it.
Yeah, I mean, most of our clients are, in their mid 20s, I'd say to mid 50s, kind of like the main age range we see. So we definitely see a lot of people with, pretty intense pain, like complex pelvic pain or pain with intercourse that are young. It's not
Yeah,
just
yeah.
for having a baby or, it can be so many other causes. And I'd say infections is a really big one, like UTIs can trigger like pudendal neuralgia or nerve pain, like I said, deep inflammation. So we do see a lot of pretty complex cases.
How about I've heard a lot about this recently too. Is ozone therapy? Have you done anything with that?
There is an kind of a more holistic office that has it locally. I haven't used it personally. Oh, she was raving about it. I just don't know that much personally about it.
Yeah, I was just saying, what's your background? I've been, I love researching what's working, what's not, so I can share it with our clients as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was just curious how it's working for you.
Yeah.
Some of our doctors swear by it.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
I
yeah.
do a little bit more research on it. I mean, honestly, I knew nothing about soft wave either, which is a type of a shock wave.
Hmm.
And then I just started investigating, doing more research, and I just kept being, put in
Yeah,
my
yeah.
conscious. And then I was like, wow, this is really cool. But, traditionally PTs, I think we can be a little wimpy, on big investments. And,
Yeah.
we're like, we just need our hands and some kettlebells and some bands. But, it's pretty cool to start taking advantage of some technology in combo with the skills we have. Because I think
Yeah, that's a pricey machine from what I remember, 50K or something like that.
80.
Yeah, we had a guy on here who was building them here in the US on our podcast. And I think he had his down somewhat, and it's all American made products too. So it was kind of cool.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different units on the market for pelvic health. If you're using it on genitals and vulvar tissue, you need specific units. So we have SoftWave, which is 80,000. So it is a really big investment. But yeah, it's been awesome so far.
Awesome. You have anything else you'd like to share with the audience about what you do, what makes you unique?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is finding a therapist or an office that will look at you as a whole person. I think sometimes pelvic health can turn into just looking at one layer of muscles. Like, can you Kegel? Can you relax those? Can you tighten those muscles? You relax those muscles. But the body is much more complicated than that. Like you were saying with the mental health and not just positivity, but, looking at like kind of having a goal to work towards and kind of turning some of those can'ts into I cans. I think I agree is really, really important. But really for us, it's looking at the whole body. Like I said, rib cage is really important, mid back, low back, pelvis, even your feet. How are you walking? How are you moving? How are you sitting,
Mm-hmm.
sleeping? So you really want somebody that's going through all your habits. How are you toileting? There's so many different factors. And it is really challenging to do that in a short amount of time, which is why so many providers have chosen to go out of network and provide super bills. But it really does allow you to have more time. So if you can find somebody that can work with you, through your insurance, that's awesome. But you just want to make sure you're not missing out on major components to actually get healing, because our goal is to really give you long lasting forever results and do for the long term. Because I agree with what you said, so many people are getting like sicker and sicker, and we're starting to rely on this med and that med and then this side effect. I think there's a lot we can offer from more of an alternative lens. And just the way we move and how you're moving is so vital to like your ultimate function.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 66. I'll be 67 this year, and I've had some sports injuries over the years, and so I can tell some of the sports injuries are still coming. They're still nagging a little bit. So I'm like, okay, so what am I going to do with this? So I found a couple different people who I'm working with them, and I noticed that they're working with me on specific muscles instead of the way I used to work out was how much iron can I move. So now at this age, I have zero interest in benching 400 pounds again, but so we're working on these little minute muscles that are causing the issue. And it's like, talk about humbling. It's like, like, really?
Yeah,
What?
it can feel a little boring, but I think that's why it's really important to lay out the progression. We're
Yeah.
doing this, this, and this, so you can do your heavy squats, deadlifts, lunges. I think it's important to show that progression for people. But
Yeah.
completely right. Those old injuries come back to haunt us later in life very often. So same for us, even in the pelvic health world, very often it could have been a knee injury that started changing the mechanics in your pelvis. So you have
Right.
sure you're looking at old injuries, tailbone injuries from childhood. Who hasn't fallen on their tailbone from a sports injury? All the muscles come and attach to that tailbone. I
Right.
so many young men too with back injuries from weightlifting. And then, it was like your classic kind of back pain with sciatica, but then it turns into, like I said, maybe they feel like that's on the resolve, and then it can turn to this weird genital shooting pain to your penis, So there's a lot of connections from other sources, from the back, the knee, other old injuries. So it's like you have
Yeah.
to look at it from that
I'm
lens.
enjoying talking to you. I really appreciate your breadth of knowledge here,
Yeah.
and how you're approaching this is really refreshing.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah,
And
thanks.
you got some passion for it. You may not have had it when you started this thing, when you first got into it, but you got passion for it now. So that's nice.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think learning, right? You just don't know what you don't know. I didn't even know. I didn't even know pelvic health was really a thing until I had my own issues. And then you start diving in and you're trying to fix yourself and you're like, wow, there's a lot of people with these issues.
Yeah, yeah.
It can be really debilitating to your life. So
Yeah, and once you have your own experience with something that works for you, man, you got to get up on a soapbox and share it.
yeah, and it's like you said, it starts, that passion can get deeper and deeper, and you feel like you feel confident you can help people change their lives.
Right. So, what's the best way for people to reach you, Laura?
Yeah, so I'm on social media, Dr. Laura DPT, or my clinic is at Dynamic Flow Physical Therapy, and would love to connect. And
And your location is
we
you said Ventura,
are California, yes.
and I choose to remember last time I was out there. So if you can refresh my memory, like how like is it easy to find? Are you close to the water? Like kind of give us some landmarks of for people to find you.
Yeah, so Ventura's kind of a mid-sized city. It's north of LA and south of Santa Barbara on the coastline of kind of the edge of Southern California. And yeah, we're just right there in the middle of town, kind of in the little medical hub, which has been great just to have, like I said, other collective providers.
Gotcha. And do you do everything in person, or you do some stuff virtually as well?
We do mostly in person just because we're such a big proponent of hands-on work. We can do virtual, but we will be honest, if we feel like somebody needs more hands-on work, we would just help refer somebody, hopefully help find you or give you a resource to somebody local to you.
Gotcha. Cool. I do have one question I always ask at the end of the podcast. And my parting question is, what do you love about life?
What do I love about life? So I'm a cancer survivor, so I take this very seriously because once you've gone through a scare of possibly not having your life, it's just
How long ago was that?
yeah. So I had breast cancer at 35, so I'm a little over 5 years out, and it does make you look at life differently and really a little bit more appreciative. But really looking at the small things in life, like just those little things, times with your kids or, being at the beach. I'm a surfer, so that's my happy place. And then finding like you can really help people is really, really important to me. Money is important, but it's like I want to feel like I can do it in a way that is sustainable to my life, that work-life balance.
Yeah. Yeah, most people say, well, when I have enough success, then I can go do something and actually be happy. And
Yes,
they live their whole life chasing like a donkey with a carrot in front of it, and they never get to the happy place, man.
exactly.
It's yeah, it's the journey. It's if you can, for me, I used to live that way too. I had all kind of toys and things, and none of them really mattered at some point in time. I was still no matter what I had, it still wasn't enough. I was still miserable. And like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And it's really I saw an interesting video one day. It said the greatest feelings we can have as humans. Sex was an 8 out of 10. Psychedelics was a 9 out of 10. That's how people get so sidetracked. And they said the only thing that was a 10 out of 10 was a conscious use of your co-creative gift. And so when you can really begin or for me, when I was like, well, I can really create whatever it is I choose, and then I would see something and it would come into existence. I go, oh, this is cool, and then next time, my manifestations start to grow in boldness and velocity. Not just my manifestations used to grow in boldness and velocity when I had a lot of hate inside me too, but doing this other way, like, oh, this is really cool. Like you start to really see how the beauty of life, the journey becomes really fun.
And we only get one, whatever your beliefs are, but we get one body. So it's like
Yeah,
take body, stop making excuses of like, I need this and that versus like prioritize your health. I
yeah,
feel health is the most important thing we have. So you
yeah.
can do all the things, but I agree. Like we need to live in the now, not like I'm going to do this job and be miserable for 10 years to get my pension plan. Like that's such a depressing way to live, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's how my dad lived. Like I watched him do that, and it was interesting. I did things the exact opposite of he did, and I still ended up in the same place emotionally.
Yeah.
And anyway, that's a whole other story. But anyway, Laura, thank you
Yeah.
so much for being on the show. We really appreciate what you're doing, and many blessings to you in your business.
Great. Thank you so much, Mark.
You're welcome.